Hey, this is Corey with Wolfpack Woodcraft, and today we're going to continue with the 10C series, and today's C is all about cover, so stay tuned. Alright, so when it comes to cover, this is another one of those C's that are really common, and people don't even realize it. So I'm sure a lot of you have made plans and you knew that they were going to get up late, like you made them during the day and you knew that they were going to go out past sunset, and so you all grabbed a sweater or a sweatshirt to keep you warm when the sun goes down. Well, your clothes are your first line of cover, right? Or if you don't grab a sweatshirt, maybe you grab a light jacket, right? And a lot of people have been doing this without even realizing that that's your first line of defense when it comes to controlling your core body temperature, right? Now, the 10 C's of survivability were designed for extreme cases, but trying to get outside of that habit, if it's going to rain, we grab our rain jacket. If it's going to get cold, we grab our light jacket or our sweater. Getting out of that mentality of just grabbing just to grab. We look at the forecast, it's going to get cold, we grab. If it's going to rain, we grab our jacket, right? So taking it to the next level, right? So if it's going to rain, I might grab my jacket, right? My rain jacket. But let's think about it now, okay? When I'm hiking, I rather have a poncho, because that poncho not only covers me, but it also covers my pack. So it's going to keep everything, it's going to keep my pack itself dry and everything inside of it dry as well. Plus, when I have my camera around my neck, it's going to keep my camera dry, right? Which is very important. I spent a lot of money on this camera and I can't afford for anything bad to happen to it. So having a poncho that covers everything is a lot more effective than just the jacket itself, right? Or I know a lot of people that just carry an umbrella in their vehicle, and I don't know how many times I've seen people, they have an umbrella and they take it out, it's raining, they take it out, and they have their umbrella, they get inside, they close their umbrella, and then what do you do with it, right? It's wet, you don't want to put it in your pocket or anything because you'll get wet. You don't know where to put it. You don't want to set it down on a nice table or anything because then that'll get wet. And so you don't know what to do with it. And so it's all those things that we got to keep in mind, right? You have them because you're told keep an umbrella in your car in case it rains, right? That's a great idea. But I prefer to have a jacket because if I get to a store or I get somewhere, I just take my hood down. I got pit zips so I can have a breeze so that I don't get too hot, and I just air dry as I'm walking through the store, and I don't have to worry about where I'm going to put that umbrella, and I don't have a big poncho that I have to worry about either, right? And so it's that next step mentality, right? Another step that I like to take is I carry a space blanket, an all-weather space blanket in my Jeep. And so this is a space blanket. So it has the reflective material on the inside. And so this is a grabber all-weather space blanket, and it has grommets in the corners so that you can turn it into a shelter. And so with those reflectics, I can use this as a blanket, and it'll reflect 80% of my body heat back at me. So if in case of an emergency or something, I can warm up. Also, I can make a little lean-to shelter, and then if I have a fire, this can reflect that heat of the fire back on me, which can heat me up even more. And also, I can take the reflectics and I can point it away from me so that it can reflect the sun away from me so I can have a nice cool shaded area to keep cooler in the hot sun. And so there's a lot of versatility in just carrying something simple like this as well. Plus I can use it to fan a fire back to life if I need to as well. So there's a lot of perks to having this with me, but this is the next step. You know, your clothes help control your core body temperature, which is the goal, right? You want to make sure that you don't get hypothermia and that you don't get heat stroke or heat exhaustion, but at the same time you want to maintain your comfort. You want to be comfortable as well, right? And so let's say I'm at the beach, right? If I'm at the beach, maybe I don't want to wear this baseball cap. Maybe I want to wear this brim hat to help protect the back of my neck from getting sunburn, right? And so when it comes to protecting against the elements and having cover, shade from the sun is another thing to keep in mind. Or when I'm hiking long trails, having shelter from the sun, that's another key against the elements. You know, the sun is a huge element. Getting sunburn is very uncomfortable and can cause a lot of other problems. And so protecting yourself from those things is huge. Another thing is, like, it's summer, so I'm wearing a t-shirt, right? If it was winter, I'd be wearing a sweatshirt. You know, dressing for the occasion and then having backups in case something else happens is key, right? And then you want to make sure that your shelter is adequate as well. And so you want to make sure that if you have a cheaper tent, you're taking the time to seam seal it every year so that you know that it's waterproof and that it's going to hold up, you know, and that it's going to protect you from the elements. Nothing's going to leak through. You're not going to wake up soaking wet. Everything's going to be perfect. And then even if you have a cheaper tent or an expensive tent, you want to make sure to have a footprint underneath it or another tarp so that pine needles and sticks and stuff don't poke holes in the bottom. Because again, water and dew can get in through those little holes and your stuff's going to get wet and you're not going to be comfortable or you're going to get cold, right? So taking care of your cover is just as important as having it in the first place, right? Another thing to keep in mind when it comes to shelter is when you're getting ready and you're packing and you're checking the forecast and you know it's going to rain and you know what the temperatures are going to be, make sure that you're adequate in those temperature ratings, right? I see a lot of people, it's going to be like 50 degrees, and so they bring like a 30-degree sleeping bag just to make sure, which is fine, but then bedtime comes and it's like 55 degrees and they have long underwear on and sweatpants and a sweatshirt and long socks and they're climbing into their 30-degree bag and they can't figure out why they're sleeping so hot. And it's like, well, because your cover elements you're layering too many. Pick your long underwear or your sweat gear and your sleeping bag, you know what I mean? You don't need all of it, right? Just because it's a 30-degree bag doesn't mean that you can wear a full winter parka in it and it's still a 30-degree bag. You're adding insulation through your clothes, right? So make sure that you're not overheating at night through what you're wearing, and you don't want to bring a negative 10-degree sleeping bag if it's only going to be 60 degrees is the low. You don't want a negative 10-degree bag, just like you don't want a 60-degree sleeping bag if it's going to get down to 0 degrees or below 0, right? And if you do have a 60-degree bag, you better have lots of clothes in that sleeping bag with you to help insulate, right? You can always make a warmer bag go further down, but you can never make a colder bag warmer, right? A negative 10-degree bag is always going to be a negative 10-degree bag. But a 60-degree bag with blankets on it and clothes on it and stuff can go to a lower temperature. So keep that in mind as well. And then another thing that I want to bring up, as long as we're talking about shelters and camping, a lot of people I see go camping and they have their shelter and it's set up, right? They have the sleeping bag, they have everything, they planned accordingly, and their plan B is, if all goes awry, their plan B is they'll go to their vehicle. Well, keep in mind that it is illegal to keep small children and pets in your vehicle for long periods of time. And the reason for that is because they get very, very, very hot. Very hot. Their steel solar ovens is basically what your vehicle is. It's a big solar oven. And they get extremely hot. And you can roll the windows down and get a breeze going through, but that metal still heats up and it still gets hot. And with your windows down, you have bugs, right? And so it's not a long-term thing. If you're just going to be in there for a little while, it's not a big deal. But for a long-term thing, it's not the most comfortable situation to put yourself in. So if you've had enough and you can't deal with it, right, because of whatever the situation is, your vehicle, it may be the best option, but make sure you weigh the pros and cons before you decide that that's the best option as your plan B, okay? Same thing in the winter. In the winter, that metal freezes and it gets really cold in there. And so make sure that you have a good battery, plenty of fuel, make sure that the engine gives off a lot of carbon monoxide, so make sure you got good airflow in your vehicle, and make sure that you have all your ducks in a row if you're going to use your vehicle as a cover device. Okay? So going back through it, your clothes, what you wear is your first defense when it comes to the cover material you have. Bringing backup jackets, sweatshirts, maybe an extra pair of pants, you know, something to change into to keep you comfortable and warm. Having a little tarp or something to help bring shade or reflect, you know, a blanket in your vehicle. In case you get cold, you can wrap up in it. That's always a good option. So always that next level to cover up, you know, your cover is something to cover up. And then a shelter, right? Whether it be a house or an apartment or others. Cover is basically anything. Your tent, your hammock, your tarp, it can go on and on and on. I'm sure we're going to have lots of videos on this channel about cover. I just wanted to make this video to get you guys thinking outside the box and get you aware of different things, right? So with that being said, make sure to share your knowledge and your questions in that comment section. This has been a broad topic. And so if you have any questions at all, make sure to leave them in the comment section. There's a lot of great knowledge that can be shared, so leave that in the comment section as well. There's a lot of people that know a lot of stuff that watch these videos, so leave all your knowledge in them comment sections. I've actually learned a lot from you guys as well, so keep up the good work. I love reading your guys' comments. There's a lot of support, a lot of knowledge, and a lot of great questions. Keep them coming. And then make sure to like and share these videos to help spread that knowledge to the people we care about most. And as always, don't forget to subscribe and come join the pack. I have a new video every Sunday and Thursday, and I can't wait